ena eka sa ensemi yebebo hwi na yede yani akyere mu wo atoye mantam no kire se kwan baako a twen baako da Pristi Ahoni Valley Importem ho manfo edi so atentwe no die sese aye no ebetimi abu nipa agumu ama akofa ewuo kra banti osempanyfo se onhwe na wontu ho anamon saso ene yede mboko Supreme Court ne akwa LGBTQ+ ho ahwan ensem a akwa dampanyfo anim sede asene ne kono ene yebemamo ehu kakra wei ene ensem afoforo nkaye bi ene yede sommo ene awie midin de amasa ponkumankuma jesse miti eye cute cat palo ene ye maame o abeka junction adjacent Ecobank ene omohwe ye maame saso ena specialized nsuo mepacho ya nonum bi na aboa amani padua no atumi enya ahoden this way chocolate drink de ohia ye nsuo hye enti nsuo tutoyi a ewiemu aye nwuni na wapebia no na abɔ hye no atumi aye adwuma yentinsi ensem ni mu ane ye bohwi ni akọ Supreme Court na yakohwe LGBTQ+ ehonsam ewo ho no yama ne bofo Philippa Atanga de ensem no ono ana ya na edi echenti yankohwe said the asenie no esi eko.
It was going to be a charge on the consolidated fund. Don't you think that is an omission itself?
Well, that would be the framing of the question.
I really invite the Supreme Court to do. Yes, it's regardless. I will not even go to human rights.
But
I would probably speaking, we can't contest at the High Court human rights. I would say that there's no evidence of such exercise.
Thank you.
As a lawyer, I would say that there's no evidence of such an exercise. My lawyer friend,
it's your case that there was no determination by the person presiding that it was going to be a charge on the consolidated fund. Don't you think that is an omission itself?
So sorry.
Well,
you've heard the broad scope
of all this submission. It will be an omission.
And Article 2:1b.
But I would be.
We are vehemently opposed to the application.
I would say that there's no evidence of such,
including the supplemental arguments made.
As a lawyer, I would say that there's no evidence of such an exercise. My lawyer friend assessed that there was such determination. I would say there's no evidence of such determination.
So sorry. You've heard the broad scope of all the submissions. Yes.
We are vehemently opposed to the application, including the supplemental arguments made in support of it. My lords, the first ground upon which we are opposed to it is that this application is the same application that was previously brought before this court.
I think the submission made by counsel for applicants was that there been changed circumstances.
I will deal with it.
All right.
I'll deal with it. And my lords, we have deposed to it elaborately in two main paragraphs, actually more than that. Paragraphs 11 to 16 of our affidavit in opposition. Paragraphs 11 to 15 of our affidavit in opposition. 20 first one to leave of record, yes. That's it.
It's 11 to
15. My lord's attention is drawn specifically to paragraphs 11 and 12 of that same affidavit. In those two paragraphs, we take time to break down the arguments made in the earlier application and compare them to the present application. And we reach the conclusion that it is the same. Now I'll deal with the additional aspect. It says that the only difference between this application and the previous one is that there has been a continuation of the legislative process, which is that it has reached a different stage. But in the previous application, our answer is simple. In the previous application also, it sought to injunct a particular stage of the legislative process. And our affidavit in opposition attaches the previous application, which merely sought to restrain Parliament from proceeding with the bill. And we say that it doesn't matter that this time you are saying that Parliament should be stopped from transmitting the bill because Parliament is still proceeding with the bill. That is the simple answer to that, this supposed new fact.
So the first time it sought to injunct Parliament from proceeding with deliberating, and this one is seeking to injunct Parliament from transmitting.
Actually,
that's the difference.
Yes, my lady, it doesn't add deliberating. It just says proceeding.
I'm evaluating.
Very well.
So I'm asking you.
Yeah, it only says proceeding, and proceedings would include deliberations as well as continuing with this duty to transmit it to the president. And so it is not a different application. In respect of that application, so in substance and everything is the same. In respect of that application, this court on the 19th of July 2003 made specific findings and held as follows. In fact, an enhanced panel of this court said, we have considered the merits of the application before us. It is our considered opinion that a prima facie case has not been made. So first of all, on the same arguments, in substance, the court made the finding that no prima facie case has been made out. The court made a further finding that no irreparable damage has been established by the plaintiff to warrant the grant of the injunction. And I'll go back to some of these facts.
Mr. Sir, before you proceed, I just want a little clarification. Are you saying that we are bound by this interlocutory decision?
You should generally be bound by it, especially that it was an enhanced panel of the court.
Is that the position of the law, that in interlocutory matters we are bound by a decision?
Well, my understanding of the position of the law is that the court is bound by its decisions on principles of law. And if the court decides that in interlocutory matters it's not bound, I will at least persuade you with it, because I don't see that distinction clearly in my reading of the Constitution.
From what you are saying, you appear to be urging us to consider ourselves bound by this decision. That is why I have a little problem.
Yeah, maybe let me urge.
Because if there's a principle of law that you want us to be bound by,
yes,
then please articulate that particular principle of law from this decision.
Very well.
That you think we should be bound by that principle.
I'm most grateful, my lord. Yes. The principle of law is that
yeah, busia se iwo hu de ekro enti empanyifo ni chiechie mu a ne bisa sa asem ne pa ene se yema ye si kwan se nkrata ne emfiri mrahye bedwamu enkoma mpanyini ho afei esan esi omukwan se adwumadie bi efa ho bi esese nko omutumi ye ne kokama mpanyinsa no entumi nkono enna mpanyifo no ebisa bisam na obehu se lawyer no chese gina yesi amudi kan si ye no Ghana mamra no chechiremo emma mugina ya musi ye no mugina na na afi mpanyifo no su kotu ntu pese o kire se na tese yen nsema ya kan edi kan chechire ya na no na se misa no na ekoso ebrepam no yebebo ni nyina atofa e de amamo na mate ensem no ase na ye komra hwebedwafi a Speaker of Parliament Yera Alban Suma na Kingsford Babin ediatu eja se hu behia pa se enrahwebedwafo no wono bobo asomdwe hu dawro prepare yo ene akuntabuo papa ebetumi abo ondwumadiem na aboa ama mamuo ya ekoso wo mamu no egina ne na so brane
Mrashebedwa mu achiamehene eto aso ekiremu se mrashebedwa no akomaso ade no se wo mobeboa amaga na economy no afa no ntuma pafra na pepepe yo aye adwuma emfa ho ne wo hawa mrashebedwafo no efamu ononyafo aban baben kasaye mu no wo kire modembo anasa dwumadi a mrashebedwa no aye be mfinhia aduasanie na wato aso kiremu se Ghana mrashebedwa no wo mugusua de kabima menkabia mamu no aye adwuma eba no brem atoye mantam ha na nsami hina wadi tudwa ewodabo bi ekoso okumase abra na Fourth Republic Parliament no wo moka mfinhyi etoso aduasa enumu no nonyamfo aban baben eto aso ekiremu se ho behia se wo manfo no ebetai mrashebedwa no echi se na beyo omudwumadi omudie no wo betimi adi no kwampa so na pepepe yo afa no ntuma pa afra.
That is a very unique parliament, different from all the parliaments that you have known, whether in Ghana or in the world. There is no parliament like this one. And so there are a lot of things we need to get back to you, because we are your representatives. And charity begins at home. We have to be held accountable before we can hold the executive accountable. And so we are here to account to you what we've been doing for the past 3 years and a few months. We will draw your attention to some of the challenges that we are encountering, so that in the constitutional review, we take all that into account. And together, we fashion out a better constitution for the country.
Eno eche no Asante Mantam Haswa for Ononyamfo Simon Osei Mensah so edin sem sei ena tudwa.
The legislature, as an arm of government, has played a very important role in the country's governance structure over the last 30 years. These remarkable legislative achievements have strengthened our country and improved the lives of its citizens. The Parliament of Ghana has done well for our democracy by actively listening to its constituents and incorporating their goals and desires into the legislation. It is important that we honor those who laid the foundation of our Fourth Republic. It was their vision, courage, determination that set us on a path of democratic governance, stability, and national development.
Ne krakra mu no mampon hene da sebra nana osei bonsu otoso mienu a wobegina asantimenra otumfo osei tutu otoso mienu anamu na watena mu setitreni ya woda dwumade na no ekirekire eniema na se dwumade titiri amrahebedwa no edi ye betimi aboa wo manfo mo dada masetra mu etimi agina brane.
In my estimation, Parliament is the most important arm of government due to its crucial representative role. As a representative of the people with whom you are in constant touch, it is imperative that you champion the cause of the Ghanaian population and ensure their dreams and aspirations are met. This includes ensuring that their needs in terms of social amenities are adequately provided for by the appropriate authorities. It is also essential for political representatives to create an enabling economic environment for the good people of Mother Ghana.
National Peace Council mpanyimfo nefa ewokofodua wonom ebo asomdwe ho ntoa e de ama adehye o se de be ya afia bato no ebetumi aye asomdwe.
MPP for say ye kroso nia 8 no de bia ka ho ana mebo a ena NDC for so say omompene aya amamre ato won into mobeba say wenti ena ama sesi a ya ba be hyiam e wo ha say e wo say ye bo dawuro e ma obi ate say asomdwe e ho hia Ghana e free say nya the last school abedu sabre asomdwe aboman mu papa o share global peace index a ye fa amman oha ene aduosia emiensa no Ghana toso aduonunum yɛba Africa yɛtɔɔ so 9 ɔnwe twa Madagascar, Botswana, Mauritius ɛne yɛtɔɔ so 9 na ne yɛbisa ɛho nane sɛ nti yɛbɛtoa so ama somodwe no akɔ so ana am say ɛho nyia no an say ane.
If we knew that this person is the automatic person to become the person, then there's no need for elections. But because the vacant position calls for competition, people will have to compete for the position. And for that matter, someone will win and someone will lose. And I want to encourage everyone sitting here that let us support whoever Ghanaians decide to settle on for the next president of the republic.
Reports in the media gives an indication of frightening rhetorics coming from some people in the two main dominant political parties and gives concern to all of us. From the opposition end, we hear language like, if we don't win, it means they have rigged it. We hear words like, we are coming in 2025 and we will do so and so, arrest this person, prosecute this one. And the government is not prepared to hand over. There are certain rhetoric that has already started appearing. We even know of areas where there are people being trained as so-called protectors of the ballot. And other presumptuous statements suggesting that one side has already won the election even before we go to the polls. From the ruling party side come statements like, we would not hand over. We would want to break the eight. As Nana Charles said, it may sound innocuous, but if you are not careful, it can also degenerate into intransigence. These are very worrying sentiments that should give all of us the red alert, especially to our eminent members of the Peace Council.
Electoral Commission dwemtani eye ma mission mensa na wode ato eja ese Electoral Commission adwuma ene se obehwe ama abato ayeto omemu no mu ada ho aye fan na obia eboajo ne senti sa pepepe na woyo entiganafo emu aboso entawachi.
Very laudable, a very laudable initiative. You know, if you say it is to promote peace before, during, and after the election. Baby, I yet no, baby, I need to know me who say, here, paha. If so, per se, or around regions, or the peace message in talking to chiefs, leaders, youth, female, male, children, and everything, or call around on a more kasa say elections and year war and yet BBI is a processor. They say we remain intact. We be a kotunaba or do a uncle fee. Now the most important thing is say Electoral Commission obey ensure say elections no be peaceful, be credible, fair, and transparent. Na BBI ye nti area ye de omushai ye catch and say ye support no na as a commission nso ye nkasa keke ye kasa ye say ye actions show peace na e beto me show if say ye say bibia ye bia no it is within law no na bibia ye nso ye say ye biem na citizens obi ehu nti from registration exhibition who call nomination, who call balloting, who call election day need declaration. Say BBI transparent. Na obia or you interested bia on secrecy bia mbem. Inti e banasa yenso ye contributed to peace no yenso ye walk the talk and you say ye kasa keke peace before doing na ye niama ye nyina e say transparency bim
me ama oh my Ghana mini ye ni baby akọ atese Ghana heye nti my statement anti every Accra akọ all the 16 regions na ne edi asundue beba abato aye betui na obia adwum ato fine say abato shi ensi so bibia obeye o business bia odinsi be shame because na dream be face asundue beba after election no to me person obia edit tweet me say abaye betui asundue beba ensro ema wo yemu hihye mempe fear panic bia to me to me esi ho anante every Accra ha na me di aboa Ghana aboa omanya wo mom ni nyina
Okwanchefo panyina sese ode na adwuma ba awieye wa Asantema Electoral Commission Owura Benjamin Banobio e de atodwa sensentwofo yaboa ama wadwuma a wo ye no wani abo ho so de achia no omotumi atenetene
botaye a esi ani sunti e de fremo no nse yatene kasamframam se ye transfer me free ha edmako head office na mako head director electoral services. The son into the Ubinsu ABC Manai as Ashanti regional director. Now said the Mabua me person mini akuman so obanusuno modisa hamoano buano ba a chance akra abemete na ono so etime nyampuntuo e wa Ashanti ha na ye tradition ubia ba Ashanti regional ena momo amode buani nti ufiri ape no eden no ko head office e minim se sa amoana amode buai no mode beboa minuanu mo a omoso akachire media houses in Ashanti region sene ye boy abaso a yenko enfanshi ebotom ni ensori nko o si appreciate mu media in the Ashanti region na musumu se dwuma amoye no eso yani
eno ahire no Owura Benjamin Banobio santo aso agitu mu se wo be ye adwuma wa Asantema ha se kwanhwefo no oha ba ko ofa mu eye se amayeku akasie mienu ye wa Asantema ha meche NPP ni NDC ebeje no atomu eno sinsi adisa wo ye adwuma no kwampa so wabra onkwatai amayeku bi achi na onkwa yi mu ne momu be ye adwuma no yie se ne be ye omanfo no ebetimi agibo atomu.
As a matter of Ashanti region is an interesting region by all standards. What they are doing by a Juma Bakuanim, what they are doing by Nizu Juma Bakofo. It looks like this region, MPP claims that is their stronghold. NDC is also very strong and vocal here. You know, these are the two major political parties that we have. So if you want to be successful, you should be on a balance. There's nothing that you do that each of these political parties will not talk about. Because Ashanti region is a decider. And so the most challenging situation in Ashanti region is for one to maintain a level bed. Is one to ensure a level playing field, because you cannot just take anything for granted. So in all things, you need to ensure that the right thing is done.
Ne krakra mu no kwankyerefo hofro ya ya pa no oba beda Asantema ha electoral services ano Owura Francis Oseinsia nso ene UTV kase twetwe nkomo sei
ebo mi din ado bi enu se na o ye referee Ashanti region na mebano ade hufuru in different capacity. So we have Electoral Commission. Medical had more region for over 17 years. Asana me fi akọ other regions a makone mo amasa be fi. Nti me ba he na so mo bra pa na me am je. Nti me hye mo bose asetena mo ne me senior try no. Ni ni mo kwan na bibia so en hye me se mesesansa asecha papa no. Se manye bibia amana nkoswa and now send me money done in it. When you say the status quo should be maintained until Michelle Bosse, the Bayer do not be saying at Tianua, the Bienna, and Bacabota and Namuso. Now, Edmina be Pepeya, Nayamua.
General Officer Commanding Central Command Brigadier General Michael Opoku de Atuja say Omaya sra adwuma no omaya krado etwen afia bato so obepopan.
Brigadier General Michael Opoku ensenkaye mu no okire mu se asrafo nyade a wo mo ebekokko polling stations awodo e wo my Ghana mu ebekwa akoto aba no wo honum na emum de ombeye ne se Ghana ntweaso obi ene wo mbebo apro wo honum sa na so mo patrol se koba ne se ebia putuprum ye behia wo no mo a na je se remove no wo mo akwa na wo mo aboa na asumdwe nsem no nso ne yensa aka ne pepepe se de yete asumdwe mu wo my Ghana mu wo se o man ne ye ba ko pentisi yetutu asumdwe nsem wase ye ni ba bia akọ enu nti e na asrafo be ye o mufa mu de e wo afiwe abato mu na enuoma nyina so awie e wo asumdwe kwan so. General Officer Commanding Central Command Brigadier General Michael Opoku e de nsem we nyina no tudwa na Central Command no organize steeple chase competition e ma 3rd Battalion 4th Battalion 145 Armored Regiments and afa Central Command no wosonyane wode to Ghana de hye nyina anim se obi bia anya ne famu de se de be ya bato we bewie e wo asomdwe kwan so to asomdwe nsem wase a ye ni ba bia ko Ghana e ba ko pemaye
I say soldier for the ye polling stations ye polling stations and police and immigration and prisons for call we always do our patrols and we'll be on standby ye training say be en patrols no training say na be standby because na nye na obi na kan civil authority ni ka say emra e ba koboa e be boa e be say Ghana o ma na friend Ghana no Ghana me ye wo me na Ghana wo da me wusu no Ghana wo ti be say Ghana etiase ti Ghana enye basa ye prepare say e be boa civil authority no na election e be akoboko it say challenges no high and obi any abre but enyina kan hu se o man Ghana no enyina dia ye be ni ye yense Ghana anything etu anka nti ye be ensure se ye Ghana ye.
Brigadier General Michael Opoku said nsem bi emto so wo se asrafo na ya de pa wo hwe exercise a wo mo ye no a unu se wo mo edan wo mo ahoden ene ntete ya wodo e de ama wo mo no adi ye pa wo ma ye krado se o man no womo ebebo ho ban edi afri enipa bonfo a wompe oman ni yie pese ototo oman no asomdwe nsem wase enti na ye ne de pa no
wo asojafo no mo ahoden no omo ampum edin itimi se oman no e wani daso na ne me hu ye na chese Ghana man wani daso for bibia bi se oman mu asojafo e be friend ya ready se be adwuma constitution di amayen si yenye si enhwese Ghana asase bia ye Ghana dia na yamboa ma impuntuo enkoso Ghana adwuma constitution dia ma ya no asase bia Ghana no yenhwese Ghana dia se yensuo se ewiemu se asase ejina so na enye Ghana dia di adwuma no be ye
owie ye no wasan so abo aban na abaso wo se aban no aya ade papa ekwan ya wafa so a asojafo anasa asrafo mo dabre mu ahia no enti wabo modne ape accommodation amo mo ewokumase ene sunyane ene Ghana ntwea so no eyi wo mo dankasa
aban dan wo se masojafo emzenya hanko a no obi okumase so manya bi wo ho no ana bi wo ha tamale ebi wo o start si yache afi no mawie nti afi na ye disafo na man ti ye da aban ase ene ye mpani fo mo nkan ase se o man tumi se na ye ntumitu enfi krom enye dan chansen dan mu no enso nya edan se mo ko hu edan na wo no efe se ti ye da aban ase na ye da mpani fo ase ana mo so mo damase se ma ba ya mo
Aseye ehwe nwuma ni adansie ho nsam so ada bench conference 2024 edi.
Ladies and gentlemen, housing and hydrology are critical components of our nation's development agenda. The theme, enhancing collaboration to tackle Ghana's housing and hydro challenges, signals the government's commitment to mobilizing all of society to address issues in this sector. Flooding continues to be an annual occurrence in many communities across the country. The National Flood Control Program has had limited impact in adequately tackling this challenge. For example, in the Greater Accra region, our data shows that only 2% of the drainage channels that require concrete works has received attention. Climate change and its attendant high levels and irregular patterns of rainfall are set to exacerbate the problem if we don't do more than we are doing currently. and the challenge is mostly poor funding. We have a deficit of over 1.8 million units, and if you multiply that by the average of 3 persons per household, it tells you the millions of Ghanaians who do not have access to decent, affordable houses. And as a result, landlords and agents take us for granted on a daily basis. The mortgage market in Ghana remains very shallow and inaccessible to the majority of Ghanaians. The need to aggressively tackle the effects of climate change and high tides on our coastal community remains.
The theme for this conference, enhancing collaboration to tackle Ghana's housing and hydrology challenges, signals the government's commitment to engaging the private sector, development partners, and other non-state actors to collaborate in addressing the country's development challenges. Government's affordable housing programs have been fraught with poor planning and inadequate funding, resulting in delays in the delivery of public affordable housing schemes. Communities along Ghana's coastline are threatened by tidal waves due to rising sea levels, leading to the destruction of entire communities and loss of livelihoods and properties.
Damibri hydro fast as that already Juma Abraka fund and Beno. There are so many projects hydro water FIA coastal lines now. There were 8 major coastal development projects at Orokodo, Dansman Bibo, Pampram Bibo, Elimina, Cape Coast, Takrade, Axim. One in Yara, what did Jumo? Then my minister Kano is a label so over, and there are new areas as well. As you solve one area, maybe so one your problem. Ninya no hydro guda warrior. Your national flood control program. Sikanembe krana hydro guda warrior flood control program. But sikayir bana wabashabu kena. Wamwone jumano wakonenyim.
Gamanche ni takite kochu ya otosumienu edi ne domonimu ewo nkranhama wa yensisie ya wode eboabo ho atwen Homowo afahye.
Enche bia na gamanche ni takite kochu otosumienu enkramanta masi ehne anase king of the Gun state. Wode betu edwase enche bia July de tosumienu wonu fiti ase na wasiesie enkramanta masi ani nyina no Homowo afahye no eda yanimu a ye twense ebeba so ene aye July da tosumienu wonum ekoye etisi emontino so ekopraprai we de watu ne din Accra must work again. Na eno ena womo ebo ho sa ne nam so ma gamanche ni taki take true out toso mienu ono ankasa etisi montene so na nanom atena nkonwa won kran mantamase ne ade hye nyina di akire bi eno ena nsentwerofo bopini sempe manchani odote atinto toso mienu ema ugina gamancha nemu ede nsem wetu dwada obibia obedi wachi ema ne dwumedie no etumi ekoso kama
Mada wo regional ministership wo mayorship Kenika the Ghana Transitional Council Noni Siwo ni amewo Keha Homowo kidnap exercise mene wofa wo yose ake ebano ni madam ambia unsi ake sumo na meke pe wo na meke pe gamanche ni chemi na ake ga ba ko mbaba papa na ebu asani wa fe sho ake whether MPP Joe NDC Joe CPP Joe ga ba ko mbaba papa na ebu wo fe wole ake kanya kwa all the regions ga ekpese because of ne come fimo ba wote common man is samopo ake fe politics she mother wanyami regional minister nakai ake ni eba eke man is samo eke fe politics
anopano ne timemufo no enye wo so bomra bomba but afei ohun se na adwuma no se kono obi ade ne ho dwumu bi bola no bebi e wokwa no so ayesesa ochina so yebetoa so ahwe the other part of AMA e wo bukum gamashi inside ha no na de bebi ade ewie nyame adoma yawada no yebe breki na fiada ne memenda no yebehwe osu Kolekroti municipality yebekọ Abuja echiri ho no Koko board ya hwe odona ya hwe Adabraka ya hwe osu Oxford Street mpuano ho no any ministry ho ne ya prapra ho nyina kama ama bibia ye fenti mumbo na mumboa na bibia akoso
edumade ayedi enye 9-day wonder eyade a abetna efise gamanche ankansa kansa aji ejinamu ina ahemfo no e wo ha nyina nso womudi wo hu ajimu sesia no bosumbia no yebeye se adwuma ebi afensu no sesia megina ho no yati sanitation court into this time no enye court a wo kwa yebe fine wo but wow wo kwa adwuma na yebe ma wo no ye fine wo mpo anka wo bepe.
Trade Minister Onimonyamfo Ketia Monde atudwa se wono yosu abrobo se cement manufacturers moti ase bill ya wo kukurudi bai se monti ase enye na sem
ana wanka krakra me omu ya botro omu twan me I ready on metna ase a me yahu se journalist wa ha nti ya ma ara mu so journalist for yamuna mkro mu ha se ma ye consultation na ba dia hu se consultation to mo ba no mo ba hu consultation yeah tenase na mo chire all right asma mo ba kano say ya asumsam say ya we Ghana yin asemo mo ka meka enti no wo de kwasha asumsam a enye mfaso but wo de mate mo ma journalist no mo na metna ha na o mo hu say mo introduction no introduction we cement no consultation a ya kan na eno ho asem ne ye ba kan ya de o mo hu say mo to ya publish Ghana fo nyina be hu ewie no o mo kwa asma mo pesa mo kan kire me so di ambaza me aka me ka we ya man kan ye mo se dabi na officer so mo na gina ho o mo ko no o mo ba o mo gumi mi office wo soro your conference room no was second floor na o mo ko no o mo ba o mo fra me ama ko soro e na mo kan menti ase e chekire mo kire o mo se be enko masa me ma mo another 10 minutes mo ni side mo baba mo mra nya mo nti na me betena ha ma de ache mo adwuma ye metena ho me ni journalist foi ya sidam ho yatiwa wombaka kire mse omo se we mu na anko de a omo ma enti wo de ne journalist wo den kasa wie na na omo kasa wie a na wa frɛ wo omo na omo aba omo kasa omo na de ko school me ko school no mo ni ma bia mo sa radio so wudi mata wudi masma ye kan on ti ase na wudi keti am na ataba sa Ghana fo nyina na di matam se ade na me de ba da nya dia na wa hu ne me kire no na no point wo ayi obi mo abata no omo boye po da bia enna ya se atum bio o kine ya se atum bio na office ko na me tie mun kuro ya ambasa ka se na no rio nsma ye nsma ro no woka ye ne kwatna ho ne o so ye no wa ye ko na me ye na sa aye ya me nyina mo za ma me ada ya se ye di na tem na ye se wa ye se wa je atem bi do nso mo ya mo kan no kuro.
Director General at the Ghana Standard Authority, Professor Alex Dodu, ya ono asa ejina brane ese dwamtrani de ma Cement Manufacturing Development Committee enra wono mo Asia Cement Manufacturers sai adwen edefa bill ya yera ketia ma no edama wono mate ese wo mo de ba se de be ya cement bo gina be gina baako na obi enton ne de se de ope na ne bo eto ne yam.
The purpose of today's meeting, let me state the purpose first, is that we have an LI, but we felt the law says that it comes into effect. The date of Gazette notification was 23rd November. The entry into force is 22nd December. Now the section 30 of the law, or this is section 29, section 31 says that a person who manufactures cement in the country before the coming into force of the regulations shall, within 30 days after it coming into force, register and obtain a license. At the committee level, we said this is very difficult to do, practically, because the committee itself was inaugurated on the 8th of March. So already de facto, there's a problem, but that is how the law works. So we thought, let's meet today. And then if you set the 30 days from today, when you have explained how to meet the requirements, you are being fair, both to the industry and then as a regulator. If in the process of discussing it, there are aspects that pragmatically cannot be done, we need to bring it out. Because at the end of the day, the law is made to improve efficiency and bring relief, not to punish people or to set companies back. I know people are saying price regulation. The issue is price disclosure and how we deal with it. And the LI, my minister said it yesterday, that will go to Parliament today. So maybe as we are here, another draft LI or a different version will go there. When we get there, I would like us to have an interesting discussion on it. I don't know, I do not have the power to speak for him, but I believe the industry knows where I stand on this issue, that transparency in pricing is important. But probably that is where I would say we all agree. And if that is where we all settle, we need to find out how best to settle there.
For some time now, no cement producers no shed that in regulatory or mu yisa. A bit me about say obi free ni kromba no wa baba beje licenses na o produce. But LI we no aba be mu mo hunu say enye licenses nko na obi timi age so obi produce. Na mum obesa ye ne mo bebre afezu so product crowd be so produce no I will say okay because you on crofo bebre on produce niema e was cement industry numa ebi o ha sometimes I'm fast standard biem na omoye e was system no enti LI we no nyina e ba be hwehwe ni nyina enti se wo obi a wo ye quack producer and I say produce cement no in some funny way and I say inferior way LI we be flash out
and no committee no amayeti asese omo ye ready say omo ni e be engage na asema okrata no no ye nyina entrance na ebobo ho na ehwe because parliament the floor of parliament that doesn't mean it's going to be passed just like that. No, there's going to be further engagement and consultation with other stakeholders including us as well. So we are hoping that parliament, the committee, the subcommittee is going to invite us and then take it from there.
Minority caucus a wamra shebedwamu na de atu edwase Ghana mampanyi na nadan kwakufu ado won na bedi echi won mo amwa Ghana kra ho chirechenchenche na omode ato yeso na yewra minority ranking member ma energy wamra shebedwa fie yewra John Jinapo ya wosan yemra shebedwa ni ma adehye wo ya pe gusau na de ato edwase ne ensuo Ghana fo ntimi ntonnom eba ni nuane enkruma chese bibia boa yeden na ensam fata sese duane boa ye den ewo mamu de ane chese ahokyere na ano edene sansa akatua ejina de ejina enti aban de obeba be so na dwam no wo be soa ekane ahoyira.
As you may be aware, from the beginning of this month, 1st of July, electricity tariffs has witnessed some significant level of increment. As if that is not enough, today as we speak, diesel prices have also witnessed a significant level of increment. Petrol prices have also been increased. LPG for cooking has also been increased. Cement prices have also been increased. Meanwhile, wages and salaries have remained constant and stagnating. This is brought about untold hardship, very difficult moments for the ordinary Ghanaian. We on the minority side, taking cognizance of the serious and high cost of living, which is having a toll on various families, deem it appropriate to call on the Akufo-Addo-led government to do something about the exacerbating nature of the cost of living. You may recall that in 2016, with just 14 cedi, you could procure a gallon of fuel. That is to say, in 2016, what you could buy with the same amount for this gallon, today, in Akufo-Addo and Bawumia's administration, you can only buy this quantity with the same amount of money. Meanwhile, the minimum wage has increased over the period by just about 100%. On the other hand, goods and services, on the average, have risen by about 500%. If you do the minimum wage during President Mohammed's time in 2016, at 8 cedi, you could buy 2 bags of rice and still have change left. Today, with the current minimum wage, you cannot even buy a bag of rice. That is how serious the situation is. On the other hand, we are not servicing our debt. And so when you hear of so-called growth in GDP, the first question you ought to ask yourself is, why has that GDP not been able to support Ghana to service its debt? Despite the assurance from the minister, the currency keeps depreciating. And I can bet you the next government would inherit a broken economy.
Abusan for yesramna ya homeso atonkra ya ba bongo di farade agodi mu nsem ebeto so.